I'm putting together a series or a handful of videos that just use the Si Stebbins principle. If you don't know what that is, I've got a link in the description so you can learn the Si Stebbins stack. And basically it's a magic method, a card trick method that uses a deck that's in a particular order. That's called a stack. And in this case, Si Stebbins is a circular or cyclical stack. That means even though the cards are in a special order, they can be cut as many times as you want to and as often as you want without destroying the stack because it's cyclical, it goes in a circle. I've discussed that in other videos and I explained it in the Si Stebbins tutorial video linked below. But before I do the series of tricks you can do with the Si Stebbins stack, I want to make this video to help you overcome one obstacle, and that is the problem with using a stacked deck, no matter what it is, whether you use Si Stebbins or 8 Kings or even a linear stack. You can't shuffle the deck without falsely shuffling it. But if you can do some false shuffling, then it's one of the most powerful methods in Magic. Now there's some very difficult false shuffling that takes years to do, and you can see some, especially some of these guys on YouTube that just do some amazing false shuffling if you have time to learn that, where they can actually look like they're riffle shuffling and doing a, going like this and looking like they've actually shuffled the deck when it stays in its same order. But those are hard. You should learn how to do those if you want to. But I'm kind of all about being a little bit lazy and finding another way to do it, an easy way to do it. And that's really what this channel is about too anyway. I want to show easier ways to do so. So I'm going to show you a couple of things you can do to get away with some sort of false shuffling while you're using a Si Stebbins stack. So when we go into those videos, when I say just do a false shuffle, you'll know what I mean. Let me show you the most common one. Some of you have mentioned you use this a lot. It's called a Charlier shuffle. And that's not really a shuffle, it's just a cut. Remember, the Si Stebbins deck can be cut all you want, right? So we can do these sort of shuffle-looking things that are actually just cuts, and we'll be fine. And that's what this one is. It looks like this. You say, we're just going to mix up the cards a little bit before we get started here, and then we'll start. Now, I just did that really quick and messy, and this is part of the point of the Charlier shuffle, is it is messy because you want to look like you're messing up the cards. And they're probably a little too messy. But what we're doing is we're going like this, we're going to go like this. Some of you know about this. And we're going to go like this and get them all mixed up. And by the way, when you're doing this stuff, you don't draw attention too much to what you're doing. I am for the sake of the tutorial, but that's something that I would do while I'm talking like this. Something I would do. So we're going to do a card trick here. We're going to get the cards all mixed up. Who wants to pick the card? Right? But I'm doing it while I'm looking at them, not the deck. And I'm, not drawing attention to the fact that I'm quote unquote shuffling the cards in the background. That makes it much stronger. You don't say, here, let's shuffle them up like I was just doing with you. But I'm actually going to show you the mechanics, right? But if you do it the way I just said, in the background, it's so much better. Now what's happening here is we're actually not shuffling the cards. We're just cutting them because we're taking some off the top and putting them down here, and then we're taking some on the bottom down here. We're just alternating top, and bottom, which is another way of saying cutting the deck. But if you do it this way, where the cards are kind of going all over the place, and it looks like, and they're basically random sections of cards too, that helps. And again, you're talking while you're doing it. It's a really easy false shuffle to do that you can get away with. And then you can give it a final cut or two, because with this stack deck, you can cut as well. So I do that and do regular cutting on top of it while you're talking, and then say, okay, we got the cards all mixed up. Now here, I'm going to have you select a card. Now, that's an easy one. Let's talk a little bit about some that are a little bit more difficult, but they're not insane. One of them is, I call a triple false cut, and there's two versions of it, and I'll show you that. Before you learn that though, you're going to have to know how to do what's called a swing cut, which is not difficult. That means holding the deck in what we call a biddle grip like this. I have my thumb down here in the bottom corner of this deck because it's going to act as a pivot point. And I'm going to use my index finger to peel off or swing cut a section of the deck like this. This is called the swing cut. And you want to be able to do this. That's a good way to cut the cards anyway. It's just a regular, swing cut. And again, I'll talk to you about more about cutting in a minute, but this swing cut is important for doing what we're about to do with false cutting. this is it. There's a couple of sections here. First of all, I'm going to swing cut about 1/3 of the deck like this, and I'm going to grab it in this hand, and then I'm going to swing cut this next section. I'm going to put this one over here and this one over here. Now, what I just did was the first stage in a fault triple cut I can go a couple of ways with. But I'm going to do that again because I realize this is really complicated to learn, but then when you have it down in muscle memory, it's not bad at all. What I'm doing is I'm taking the deck and I'm taking off the top section here and I'm holding it over here. And I'm going to split this again. I want the top section now over here, which I'm going to hold in these fingers, and I want to hold the middle, right? So what I have here is a middle, a bottom, and a top. From here, I can then reassemble the deck. And when I do, it's going to look like I have cut it in 3 different sections, or into a layman's view, even look like I have shuffled it. Remember, this is the middle. So if I was to take this bottom and throw it on the table, take this middle and this top, I did it very slow so it doesn't look right. I just reassembled the packet, the deck, right? But sped up, it looks like this. Boom. So that takes a little bit of practice until you can do it without thinking about it while you're talking like I just did, or in the background while you're doing something else. You can do these and not draw attention to it, and it looks like you're shuffling the deck. So that first one, the first version of this, uses a table where we're going to go like this, like this, like this, and we've cut the deck. That's one way of doing it. So let's do it again. And let's break it down a little bit. So what we want to do is a swing cut. I'm going to take the top section and hold it here. I'm going to swing cut again. I'm going to put the top section down here and grab the middle. This is where I want to be. I'm stopping right now because this is a tutorial. You would not want to stop here. I'm stopping because I want you to see where I've landed. I've landed with middle in this hand. My dominant hand is holding the bottom of the deck here, the top of the deck here. That's really important because from here, I can do either the table version or the in-hand version. Remember, the table version was throwing this bottom section down here, the middle and top like that. But if I do that again, I'm going to take the top, split this, go like this. Here I am again, back in this position. I don't have to use a table. I can also do it this way. I'm going to do it slow first. Remember, this is a middle. So if I take the top and throw it on top, and the bottom and put it back on the bottom, I've just reassembled the deck. To you and I, that doesn't look like a shuffle because it isn't one. But when we do it quickly while we're talking, it looks like I've cut the deck, right? While I'm doing something else, all that movement like this and like this is confusing. Taking the top, doing this, this, and this. Okay? I'm going to do it slow so you can see what's happening again. Top over here, another swing cut, top goes down here, the middle here. What I'm doing, since this is the middle, is I'm throwing the top on top, and I'm taking this bottom and going underneath and putting it back. Because I went like this and we're going this direction, it looks mixed up quickly. It looks like this. Done. Now, something else I'll say about these. Again, you want to be saying something else while you're doing them in the background, so it looks fine. But you can also always follow it up with a real cut. When you tie those things together, it really looks messed up. It really looks shuffled. So if you're going to do a triple thing like this, and then go like this, and then do a charlier, and then another cut, and you're doing those things while you're talking, you'll get away with, probably not the right way to say it, you'll get away with confusing your audience appropriately. Okay, so these are just practical things you can do to use a stacked deck, because there's only really one con. There's a lot of pros and cons in Magic, actually, or in anything. But one of the cons is not being able to shuffle your deck. This is a way you can get away with it. And then I'll say one final thing. Whatever you do, whenever you can, if you're still, doing fault shuffling and keeping everything in a cut order and keeping your stack in order, you can also say at some point, well, even though we've shuffled the deck, it doesn't matter because you're going to take a card out of the middle anyway. And that just solidifies the fact that the cards are mixed up and they also have a free choice. You know, if the trick affords that, and it often does. So they can go like this and take a card, and we've kept the stack in order, and we'll know what their card is by looking at the bottom card because of the Si Stebbins principle. Okay, I hope that wasn't too much, but I hope it helps you. So in subsequent videos, I'm going to show you some things, some fun things you can do with the Si Stebbins, but by adding in the fault shuffling, it just makes it even more powerful and more convincing that you're doing some really, really amazing stuff.